from below smote his ears. "Enough!" cried Mistress Nutter triumphantly. "And now take good heed that you swerve not in the slightest degree from your word, or you are for ever lost." Again the mocking laughter was heard, and Nowell would have rushed forth if Mistress Nutter had not withheld him. "Stay!" she cried. "I have not done with you yet. My witnesses must hear your declaration, remember." And placing her finger upon her lips, in token of silence, she stepped backwards, drew aside the tapestry, and opening the door, called to the two Asshetons, both of whom instantly came to her, and were not a little surprised to learn that all differences had been adjusted, and that Roger Nowell acknowledged himself entirely in error, retracting all the charges he had brought against her, while on her part she was fully satisfied with his explanations and apologies, and promised not to entertain any feelings of resentment towards him. "You have made up the matter, indeed," cried Nicholas; "and as Master Roger Nowell is a widower, perhaps a match will come of it. Such an arrangement
"This is no occasion for jesting, Nicholas," interrupted the lady, sharply.
"Nay, but I threw out a hint," rejoined the squire. "It would set the question of the land for ever at rest."
"It is set at rest for ever,"
replied the lady, with a side look at the magistrate.
"May I become subject to the Fiend if I fail in my promise," repeated Nowell to himself. "These words bind me like a chain of iron. I must get out of this accursed house as fast as I can."
As if his thoughts had been divined by Mistress Nutter, she here observed to him
"To make our reconciliation complete, Master Nowell, I must entreat you to pass the day with me. I will give you the best entertainment my house affords. Nay, I will take no denial. And you too, Nicholas, and you, Richard. You will stay and keep the worthy magistrate company."
The two Asshetons willingly assented, but Roger Nowell would fain have been excused. A look, however, from his hostess enforced compliance. "The proposal will be highly agreeable, I am sure, to Master Potts," remarked Nicholas, with a laugh; "for though much better, in consequence of the balsam applied by Blackadder, he is scarcely in a condition for the saddle."
"I will warrant him well to morrow morning," said Mistress Nutter.
"Where is he?" inquired Nowell. "In the library with Parson Holden," replied Nicholas, "making himself as comfortable as circumstances will permit, with a flask of Rhenish before him." "I will go to him, then," said Nowell.
"Take care what you say to him," observed Mistress Nutter, in a low tone, and raising her finger to her lips.
Heaving a deep sigh, the magistrate then repaired to the library, a small room panelled with black oak, and furnished with a few cases of ancient tomes. The attorney and the divine were seated at a table, with a big square built bottle and long stemmed glasses before them, and Master Potts, with a wry grimace, excused himself from rising on his respected and singular good client's approach.
"Do not disturb yourself," said Nowell, gruffly. "We shall not leave Rough Lee to day."
"I am glad to hear it," replied Potts, moving the cushions on his chair, and eyeing the square built bottle affectionately.
"Nor to morrow, it may be, nor the day after, nor at all, possibly," said Nowell.
"Indeed!" exclaimed Potts, starting and wincing with pain. "What is the meaning of all this, worthy sir?"
"May I become the subject of the Fiend if I fail in my promise," rejoined Nowell, with a groan.
"What promise, worshipful sir?" cried Potts, staring with surprise.
The magistrate got out the words,
"My promise to—"
and then he stopped suddenly.
"To Mistress Nutter?"
suggested Potts.
"Don't ask me," exclaimed Nowell, fiercely. "Don't draw any erroneous conclusion, man. I mean nothing. I say nothing."
"He is certainly bewitched,"
observed Parson Holden, in an undertone to the attorney.
"It was by your advice I entered this house," thundered Nowell, "and may all the ill arising from it alight on your head."
"My respected client," implored Potts.
"I am no longer your client," shrieked the infuriated magistrate. "I dismiss you. I will have naught to do with you more. I wish I had never seen your ugly little face."
"You are quite right, reverend sir," observed Potts, aside to the divine. He is certainly bewitched, or he would never behave in this way to his best friend. My excellent sir," he added to Nowell, "I beseech you to calm yourself, and listen to me. My motive for wishing you to comply with Mistress Nutter's request was this. We were in a dilemma from which there was no escape, my wounded condition preventing me from flight, and all your followers being dispersed. Knowing your discretion, I apprehended that, finding the tables turned against you, you would not desire to play a losing game, and I therefore counselled apparent submission as the best means of disarming your antagonist. Whatever arrangement you have made with Mistress Nutter is neither morally nor legally binding upon you."
"You think not?" cried Nowell. "May I become subject to the Fiend if I violate my promise."
"What promise have you made, sir?" inquired Potts and Holden together.
"Oh, do not question me," cried Nowell. "It is sufficient that I am tied and bound by it."
The attorney reflected a little, and then observed to Holden, "It is evident some unfair practices have been resorted to with our respected friend, to extort a promise from him which he cannot violate. It is also possible, from what he let fall at first, that an attempt may be made to detain us prisoners within this house, and for aught I know, Master Nowell may have given his word not to go forth without Mistress Nutter's permission. Under these circumstances, I would beg of you, reverend sir, as an especial favour to us both, to ride over to Whalley, and acquaint Sir Ralph Assheton with our situation." As this suggestion was made, Nowell's countenance brightened up. The expression was not lost upon the attorney, who perceived he was on the right tack. "Tell the worthy baronet," continued Potts, "that his old and esteemed friend, Master Roger Nowell, is in great jeopardy. Am I not right, sir?" The magistrate nodded. "Tell him he is forcibly detained a prisoner, and requires sufficient force to effect his immediate liberation. Tell him also that Master Nowell charges Mistress Nutter with robbing him of his land by witchcraft." "No, no," interrupted Nowell. "Do not tell him that. I no longer charge her with it." "Then tell him that I do," cried Potts, "and that Master Nowell has strangely, very strangely, altered his mind."
"May I become subject to the Fiend if I violate my promise?" said the magistrate.
"Ay, tell him that," cried the attorney. "Tell him the worthy gentleman is constantly repeating that sentence. It will explain all. And now, reverend sir, let me entreat you to set out without delay, or your departure may be prevented."
"I will go at once," said Holden.
As he was about to quit the apartment, Mistress Nutter appeared at the door. Confusion was painted on the countenance of all three. "Whither go you, sir?" demanded the lady, sharply.
"On a mission which cannot be denied, madam," replied Holden.
"You cannot quit my house at present," she rejoined, peremptorily. "These gentlemen stay to dine with me, and I cannot dispense with your company."
"My duty calls me hence," rejoined the divine. "With all thanks for your proffered hospitality, I must perforce decline it."
"Not when I command you to stay," she rejoined, raising her hand. "I am absolute mistress here."
"Not over the servants of heaven, madam,"
replied the divine, taking a Bible from his pocket, and placing it before him.
"By this sacred volume I shield myself against your spells, and command you to let me pass."
And as he went forth, Mistress Nutter, unable to oppose him, shrank back. CHAPTER 11.